A dramatic escalation, some are calling it, as Ukraine has bombed the Kerch Bridge. This is the formal physical structure that connects the Russian landmass to Crimea. They're calling this an audacious underwater attack on Putin's prized possession as the war spirals and nuclear fears soar. My friends, it's worse than that. From Bloomberg, we have this story. Kiev's brazen drone strike on nuclear bombers alarms Moscow. That's right. Ukraine launched a surreptitious drone strike, loading drones in the back of trucks over the course of 18 months. Those drones launched up into the air all at once and then bombed Russia's nuclear bomber fleet. These are how they deliver what are called nuclear gravity bombs. That is when the bomber comes and drops, like in World War II, that's what we did. Now, of course, for nuclear weapons, there are intercontinental ballistic missiles, there's nuclear artillery shells, things like this, and then there are bombers. There is a concern now that Kiev's attack on Russia could result in a dramatic escalation. I'm not so sure, though. I'm not so sure. Some are saying this is dragging us into a nuclear war with Russia, that we are going to be responsible in the eyes of Russia, and they may retaliate on our systems through cyber attacks or even strike NATO assets. Again, not so sure. Not so sure. This could actually signal the end of U.S. support for Ukraine. And I'll tell you why. Ukraine is not providing intel to the United States, information on the attacks that they are planning. This means the U.S., whilst currently Donald Trump is trying to negotiate peace, Ukraine's intentionally keeping Trump in the dark. From the Daily Beast, Ukraine deliberately blindsided Trump before massive drone attack on Russia. Now, let me tell you, my friends. Let me do this first. I'm getting ahead of myself. The U.S. is providing military assets, training, money, etc. to Ukraine. Trump is trying to negotiate a peace deal. Putin is pissed off. Ukraine is doing whatever they want without telling us. This could signal, in my opinion, Donald Trump saying, you know what, I'm done. How are we as the United States going to be providing these materials to Ukraine with them not telling us their plans while we try to negotiate peace? Sounds like they are going to be penalizing themselves. Now, I will say this. I don't view this as a dramatic escalation as some do. To me, I would argue that this likely signifies Russia's victory. Why is Ukraine attacking through subterfuge and sabotage inside of Russia and not in Ukraine, where they're trying to win back the battlefield? Because they lost. And I've said this for a while. Ukraine has lost the war. Russia has taken control of the Donbass region, they call it. You've got Luhansk, Donetsk, Mariupol, Zaporizhia, Kherson, into Crimea, which they've held for over a decade now. Ukraine wants their land back. Okay, so why strike a bunch of Russian planes all across Russia? We're in what I would refer to as an insurgency phase. That is, Ukraine is intentionally sabotaging resources inside Russia to cause them pain, hoping that it's going to make them simmer down, back away. But it doesn't work. I think it's an act of desperation. It is brilliant. I will tell you that. The move made by Ukraine in this regard, actually, it's pretty clever. Trucks were being smuggled into Russia over the span of a year and a half. Drones were attached to the tops of these trucks. And then all at once, the drones launched up in the air and then hit these nuclear bombers. It's well done, to be honest. But let's think about it strategically. What does this do to Russia, to their control of this region, which they don't want to give up? Nothing. You're basically saying, we will make you hurt. Back down. That means Ukraine has lost the war front. If they could use the military might they had and the drones to take the battlefield and push Russia back, they'd do it. Attacking internally is just trying to cause instability and strife to Russia in a desperate bid to make them you're not winning the fight. You're just flicking their ear. Russia may get pissed off about this. It may prevent peace talks, But I don't see how this is going to affect Russia's control of the battlefield. Now, the big news outside of that is the bombing of the Kerch Bridge, which this is this is a main supply route for what is this awful website? This is their main supply route. You can see, well, that's a terrible map. We'll just get rid of that website because that sucks. But you have here on the Ukraine battle map, Russia's mainland is connected by the Kerch Bridge. And as you can see here, they've bombed it, causing damage, restricting the flow of supplies through this bridge into Crimea. And I'm going to say this. Doesn't matter. Russia controls all of this territory into Crimea, that whole region. Like I stated, it's what Russia wants. It's what they've secured. It's what they're holding on to. So bombing of the Kerch Bridge will piss them off, but they still have control through this landmass. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I get all of these wackaloon wingnut lefties, and they're like, Tim Pool, he works for Russia because I said Ukraine is an enemy of this nation. I stand by it. I'm not wrong. And I'm going to start once again by saying this. As Donald Trump is trying his hardest to negotiate a peace deal, we have this psychotic BS from Ukraine. Daily Beast reporting Ukraine deliberately blindsided Trump before massive drone attack on Russia. How is Trump supposed to negotiate a peace deal to stop the war when Ukraine is hiding from us these attacks? They're not our ally. They're not formally our ally, and they are not helping us. Now, here's a story from August. You see, when I pointed out that Ukraine is an enemy of this nation, they all these Ukraine wackaloon lefty deep state, I'll be nice, shills, we'll call them shills, said Tim Pool's working for Russia, blah, blah, blah. Fake news, was a lie then. It's a lie now. None of it was ever true. We never took any money from Russia. They're lying intentionally, trying to discredit us because I am correct. Germany seeks Ukrainian suspect in Nord Stream pipeline sabotage, reports say. Let me lay it out for you. In August of last year, Germany issued an arrest warrant, an international warrant, for a Ukrainian diving instructor named Volodymyr Z, who was living in Poland, who they say bombed the Nord Stream pipeline that was delivering energy into Germany, aka our NATO ally. This man then fled to Ukraine. Now, do you expect anybody to believe that it was but a single humble diving instructor who had the capability to go underwater with an underwater explosive, undetected, and bomb a gas pipeline and then successfully flee back to Ukraine? It is widely believed this man was working either formally or as a privateer for the Ukrainian government. Why? The Ukrainians allegedly bombed the Nord Stream pipeline to cut off Russia's trade of natural gas to Germany. NATO had been buying energy from Russia. They still do. This money and these resources were being used by Russia to wage war, among other things, in Ukraine. Ukraine said, you MFers, NATO, want to keep giving them money? We'll bomb your pipeline. Now, it's a Russian pipeline, right? Russia was delivering natural gas through Nord Stream 2 to Germany. Germany's our ally, not Ukraine. So when NATO has a deal to bring in energy that NATO needs so that the people in Europe can have, heat for their homes, vehicles, factories working, electricity, and then a Ukrainian that is purported to be working for the government bombs that pipeline, that is us being attacked by a foreign nation. Spare me your psychotic pro-war garbage. I am sick of the manipulation. If you want to argue that the U.S. is not involved in the war in Ukraine, you want to say, no, we provide money and intelligence, but we are not formally involved. Fine, don't care. Tell me now why we should maintain any level of support for this country after they did this. Now, I get it. It's an allegation. Fine. But we should be listening to our allies, correct? Germany is a NATO ally. If Germany tells us we suspect the Ukrainians of doing this, Donald Trump should say, turn this man over now. They don't do it. So when I say Ukraine is an enemy of this country, it is because it is the Ukrainians sabotaging our political system, our energy infrastructure, because they're mad that we have trade deals with Russia. Now, Russia's been sanctioned. I get it. But under what authority do they have the right to bomb a gas pipeline delivering energy to Germany? Germany is our ally. Now they're bombing Russia's nuclear fleet without telling us while Donald Trump is trying to negotiate peace. I say cut them off. It is insane that we are currently at this level of conflict. So tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'd like to hear one good reason why we should support this country after the bombing of Nord Stream 2. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe Germany's wrong, but we should be listening to our allies, no? Germany's our ally. They say, we think this guy did it. We say, okay. We go to Ukraine. We say, turn that man over. He's going to get locked up. It's ridiculous. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Stay tuned. We got more segments coming up for you throughout the day. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we'll see y'all then.